Hi guys, and welcome again to the Tierra Lina YouTube channel. So today I'm gonna tell you part 2 of my lifetime story about how I became a lingerie designer. If you haven't seen part 1, you can find the link up here and maybe watch that video first, and after you can come right back to this one to hear the rest of my story. So in today's video, I'm mostly gonna talk to you about the fashion academies because I've been to 2 fashion academies and there's just a lot of things that I can tell you about that because I've learned a lot of it. And yeah, I'm just gonna tell you the story right away, so enjoy. So the first years in high school I was just studying something basic. This because I thought that math was really important, because I guess because my mom studied math and I thought it was for everything that you wanted to do, that it was always important that you had a lot of math. But then the last 2 years in high school, I was already thinking about what I was gonna study after, and of course that was gonna be fashion. I was gonna try to do fashion. But to do that, I was searching for the right thing to study in high school so I could get in fashion school, because you have this really big exams that you have to do to get in those schools, because it's arts. You can't just go on and study there, you have to be good enough. So that's why I studied the last 2 years art school. Why not fashion? Well, that's because to get in fashion school at the university, you need to be a really good drawer. And if you study fashion in high school, you don't learn to draw, but you learn how to make patterns, you learn how to sew, but that's not the important thing. That's not important if you want to go study fashion in university. So that's why I did art school, because you really learn how to draw, how to paint like really well. And if I look back at it, I'm really happy I did that, because that was the best choice I could make at that point. So after those 2 years studying arts, it was finally time for me to go to university. So I was really excited, because I dreamed about being a fashion designer my whole life, and I was so excited to go for it. So I did an application in fashion school in Ghent and Antwerp. Antwerp, it's like one of the most famous fashion schools in the whole world, so it's an international school. Ghent is just like a fashion school in Belgium. It's not a big one, they're only like Belgians there. So in Antwerp, I didn't get in because they said I was too young. Because when I finished high school, I was still 17, because my birthday is in December, which I thought was like a stupid reason. But on the other side, people who are like trying to get in Antwerp, these people, some of them already studied for multiple years. They already studied fashion in another country, so they're all like in the 20s, and I was 17, so they looked at me like, what the hell are you doing here? Of course you're not gonna get in. So they said like, yeah, you're good, but you're too young, so maybe come back next year. But I thought, yeah, yeah, right, I got in Ghent, so I'm just gonna study there. I'm not gonna wait another year, just because I'm too young doesn't mean that I can't go studying this year. So I went to Ghent, and from the moment I started studying fashion, I really started to discover myself, the way of designing, the way how I wanted it to work. I created my own style. What I discovered pretty fast was that my designs were all kind of sexy. And also that same time when I was studying fashion, I was really into lingerie. Like, I bought that lingerie so much. I looked at it online. I was so fascinated by lingerie, but I wasn't thinking about becoming a lingerie designer at the time, not yet. So after the year in Ghent, it wasn't like a good year for me, because all the fashion schools have like their own way of working, and in Ghent they're really like taking you and leading you the right way, but I couldn't let them lead me, you know. I needed to go my own way. I needed to do my own things. I needed to discover and open myself, which I couldn't do in Ghent. So I was really like, yeah, the system wasn't made for me. So I wasn't feeling good there, and the teachers were like not nice to me. I mean, some of them were, of course, they were really nice ones, but some of them were just like telling me what to do, which I couldn't handle. And I told them what I was thinking, which you can't do in fashion school. So I didn't pass that year, which is kind of stupid because, yeah, it was because I was like in trouble with my teacher, and because it's art school, it's never like black and white on paper why you didn't pass, you know. Like if they don't like you, they can just like give you really bad points just because they don't like your work. It's art, so they can say that it's not good, but who's gonna say it's not good? Everyone has another opinion. So okay, yeah, that year was it was actually kind of good because I really grew myself, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things about going there 1 year, about how I can and cannot react to like other people. I discovered a lot about myself, that I can't let myself be led. A lot of people need this, so that's why Ghent is maybe good for a lot of people, but for me not. I'm too open. I need to do my own thing. And if you really need to be like held and you need this help and everything, then go to Ghent, because then this school is really good for you if you're studying in Belgium. So after that year, I was like, okay, fuck that. I'm not gonna do my year over, because it's not that I'm not good enough, you know? It's because this teacher doesn't like me, and then I should like do the year over with the same teacher that doesn't like me. That's not gonna happen. So I was never ever gonna do my year over again. Especially not as long that same teacher is like teaching there. But then I thought like, yeah, in Antwerp they said come back next year because you are good, you're just too young. So I thought, okay, now I'm 18, I can just try to get in Antwerp. So I went to Antwerp again, and you know, you have an interview and everything, you have to show your work, and they said to me like, yeah, we really like your work, you're really good, you're really talented, but you know, you're pretty young. And I thought, excuse me, last year I was here, I was 17, I know I was young, but you know, I finished high school, I wanted to start studying. They didn't pass me because I was too young, and they told me come back next year. So voila, here I am 1 year later, and you're telling me I'm too young again? So I don't know what they thought, but they let me in. So I was the most happy. I think that was like one of the most happy moments of my whole life, because there are a lot of people applying on that fashion school. It's the third best fashion school in the world. They're only letting 60 people in, and I was one of them. There's also like a really tiny percent of them Belgians. So like passing or not, I didn't care. I got in the school, and that means that I'm talented, and that made me so happy. I was so extremely happy about it. So then I was there in fashion school. It was really harsh. The teachers were really mean. So on one side it was really awful. I was living in Antwerp at the time, and there were so many times that I called my mom crying because they were so mean to me, and they told me they hated my work. I'm really bad. But they told this to everyone because we were always together in a classroom, and sometimes they said so mean things to people that I thought, oh, that's so rude. And actually to me they were kind of nice. It's kind of stupid to say, but I'm gonna be honest, it's the truth. They were nice to me because I was Belgian, and they weren't nice to all the Asians who were there, which I think it's really mean because the Asians, okay, it's maybe like half of the school are Asians, but they are just like freaking talented. So you don't have to be rude to them. They're just talented. They're just people like us. So yeah, they were mean to me, but one side they were nice if I compared myself to all the outsiders, because we were like with 60 in the first year and maybe 5 of us were Belgians, so that's why they wanted us to do it good, you know, because they wanted the Belgians to like make the school great. So one side that year was really hard. I also learned a lot of it. But I think because it was so hard in the beginning, I was doing my best so hard, and they really liked my work as well. But later that year, I was still working like freaking hard, you know. I was working every night till super late. Every weekend I didn't go out, I didn't do anything fun because I was working for school. So it's not that I didn't do my best anymore, but I think like I wasn't giving 100% anymore, but I was giving a 99%. More to the end, I even took a job, like a student job, which you can't do when you're in fashion because you don't have time for it. And the student job came on TV. Don't ask me why, too long story. But my teacher saw me on TV, and one time they even got mad at me, like, what, are you working in a restaurant? Because yeah, she saw it on TV, so she knows that I'm working there. And I told her like yes, and then she was kind of mad at me because if you're a fashion school you don't have time to work, and she thought I was spending too much time on that. But you know, when you're a student you want extra money, that's why you work. But okay, well, I worked really hard till the end of the year, but I knew that like the thing was that they want you to grow. So they want you to go like this, but I went like this, and that's why they didn't pass me. So I stayed till the end. My things walked on the fashion show. I worked really hard, but I think if I made it like the different way, if I started with the last piece and I did it the other way around, I would have passed because I was growing, but I was actually going down. So that's why they didn't pass me. And like when they said me in Ghent that I didn't pass, I was so heartbroken because I worked my ass off and they didn't pass me just because my teacher didn't like me, which is so fucked up because you work like a year so hard your ass off, and like they're just not passing you because the teacher doesn't like you. So I was so heartbroken because that happened. But in Antwerp I actually had a totally different feeling. I was so relieved because if they passed me, I would have gone to the second year and to the third year. But it was so hard, it took so much energy of me, and that year actually I discovered that I wanted to be a lingerie designer. And I said, okay, I'm first gonna do the fashion school and after I'm gonna study lingerie designing. But then I was thinking, like, if I only want to do lingerie, why should I waste 5 years in a really hard fashion academy to do actually something else? Because lingerie designing is something totally different from the normal fashion designing. So that they didn't pass me, I was so relieved because I could stop and I could go study lingerie designing. Otherwise, I would have been there for a few more years and worked my ass off and maybe gotten a depression. I don't know, like a lot of people get in a depression in fashion because it's just really depressive. But if I look back at it, I'm super happy I went to that school, because if you want to do fashion, I mean, it's like the third best fashion school in the world, so it's a really special school. It's also like, okay, they were so hard, but I think it was good to see how it works. They also say like they're too hard, but the thing is, in real life, in the fashion industry, it is like this. So they're like preparing you. They're not being mean for no reason. They're preparing you to get out in the real world. So I thought it was a good experience. I learned a lot of it. I learned to get to know myself more, better. And yeah, that's also the year I really discovered I wanted to do lingerie, because my teachers also said me, you're designing so sexy things. And when I said, after when they didn't pass me, I told my teacher that I was gonna do lingerie, like asking her if she thought it would be a good idea, and she told me it would, because you know, she knew what things I was drawing. So I'm gonna show you like a few things that I drew. It's like really subtle, you know, like this one. It's not, it's like a lot of layers and everything, but you can still see this side has like that kind of sexiness with the see-through, with the leg you can see, and here like the panty kind of thing. That's what I mean with sexy designs. Also here I'm gonna check, yeah, like this one, or like this one. So you see, those I made when I was in fashion school, and you can see here as well. They are kind of sexy. So with making these sketches, with designing these things, like with being in Antwerp in fashion school, I really discovered I want to be a lingerie designer. So I'm really happy I went to that school, because I think if I didn't, I maybe never would have known that I really wanted to become a lingerie designer. I also never give up. So that's also good, because otherwise maybe I would have stopped with fashion because they didn't pass me, and then I never would have gone to this part or to this place where I'm now at the moment. So yeah, that was part 2 of my story. And yes, there is coming a part 3, because I haven't told you about my lingerie school, I haven't told you about my internship, I haven't told you about how I started my business. So if you want to see that, if you want to know how I did it, then press this button down below to subscribe, and then next week you will see the rest of my story. Also, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, and then I'll see you next week, I guess. Bye, thanks for watching.